Welcome to Football is Nice with me, Russell Brand, and Gareth Roy. And this is the first episode that we've done. The last one, we was just pretending, we was just practicing, and now we've decided to actually do it.
Yeah.
Do you feel all right about it?
Yeah, I guess, just try and come to it like the last one, really.
With an open mind and an open heart. We've already tweeted some content out. We've asked people about their embarrassing football stories, either performing the art of football as a player or attending as a spectator. These are some, I think you've got some content because you're sort of really producing good to a degree, aren't you?
Well, I guess, I looked through Twitter, so yeah.
That's a research.
That's the research. Researcher.
Although Jenny May Finn is the actual producer of the show, although she may today look like a member of KISS.
No, I don't like KISS.
You've come here.
I don't like KISS.
You're in a jumpsuit. You're in a jumpsuit.
I told you about this before.
Sleeves.
Remember I said about a month ago, I got this jumpsuit. I don't know if I should wear it to work.
What did I say?
You went, do what you want.
Yeah, do what you want. Free yourself. Be free. Now I've seen it. I shouldn't have said that. That was unwise. No, Jenny.
I have to wear it.
No, yeah, you look brilliant.
It was a big talking point when you arrived today.
It wasn't supposed to be.
Disco Jenny.
The whole office talking about it.
It's an amazing
then you brought up
out.
your trousers very quickly after that.
Yeah, because I was trying to help you. I thought, get past the jumpsuit and focus more on my big trousers.
Look, Jen, never mind your big trousers and your catsuit, jumpsuit, plunging neckline thing. Now, what about the intro? What about the intro music?
Hold on.
Right, so this ideally would play at the very top. You're listening to Football is Nice with me, Russell Brand, and Gareth Roy, where we talk not just about football in the terms of the moot data and statistics or the culture of the game and strategies, but we talk instead about how it
makes
feels.
us feel.
How does it make you feel? How do you feel now? It's a nice bit of music.
It's nice, isn't it?
Football is nice, and that bit of music
My
is
friend
terrific.
Lorenzo did this, Ross.
Well done, Lorenzo. Good work on creating that piece of music. Though Lorenzo, he's an Italian man.
He's an Italian man, yeah. Proud
Sometimes
Italian.
you said wears like a Ferrari top.
The other week we went to a rooftop party, which makes me sound completely different.
Who are you, Barack Obama?
It did feel a bit like that, actually. You know when you arrive at anywhere, I guess, where you feel immediately out of place, and it had that feel about it. There was lots of kind of fancy decoration. I mean, it was for one of my best friend's 40th birthday, so I should have felt immediately kind of involved and welcome. But yeah, anyway, the point was Lorenzo turned up, which he doesn't often, and he was wearing a Ferrari t-shirt. He's
Italian, though.
He's Italian, so that's his excuse, but I still don't quite understand it.
Why wear a branded logo?
Because it's not even the brand, because obviously branding...
Ferrari don't make t-shirts.
This is the main point.
Cars.
Branding obviously is ridiculous anyway. We got into this conversation yesterday. But I think doing Ferrari branding is one step below that, isn't it?
You're wearing a brand for another type of entity. Hey, listen, I want to do this a bit more professional.
Yes.
Okay, so I want you to sign up. I want you to go to russellbrand.com and I want you to sign up to my mailing list right now so I can communicate with you about live events and other stuff I'm doing. I'd like you to leave a review. Now, you can't really review it yet because you've not listened to it. But you could listen to the last one, and some people did leave reviews. This one's from Tom Sandy. He said, the sort of football podcast I've always wanted. Football is nice, is nice. Some of my friends, Gal, they've also said they like it. David Squires, the brilliant cartoonist, The Guardian, he says he likes it. And look at this one from Heartwarming and Enjoyable. This is on Apple, because I'm encouraging you to leave a review as well. Not a bad review, a good review, a 5-star review.
I don't think that's their name.
Well, Heartwarming and Enjoyable is not their name.
That's the bit that you stick at the top.
Oh yeah, I did. Oh right, yeah, that's the title of the review.
Yeah.
You have to title your review.
I think so. I mean, I'd be amazed if he was called that, or she.
Yeah. Well, actually, the more you speak, the more sense it makes, because underneath Heartwarming and Enjoyable, I can see JMac number 8, and that seems more like a person's name. Yep. Comedian turned cult leader Brand is joined by some mate, that's you, and a charming Irish woman, that's mysterious, to talk football-ish for an apparently accidental 90 minutes. Being a lifelong Aberdeen FC fan, I would like to add that I was, even though I was 3 years old at the time, I remember when Windash joined us, and was grateful for the opportunity to perhaps prematurely understand the concept of a total waste of money. You can't put a price on a lesson like that. Good review, person engaged by the content.
I'm hurt by it.
Because he just refers to you as a mate and is dismissive of you.
Well, also he offended Dean Windass, which I will never hear.
And then there's this one from Rusty Brandstein. Hey, this show is great. I remember thinking while I was making it, what a great show I'm making right now.
That's you, isn't it?
That's me. I've reviewed my own show. There's no law against that. If you think of the amount of corruption in the world and football at large, the double dealing, the duplicity, the World Cup in Qatar, Who cares if one man gives himself a 5-star review?
Yeah. Did you ever consider giving it less, or was it always 5?
5 stars. That was the point of the review. And any of you giving us a review, and I urge you to do that right now, please go and give it a 5-star review. It helps us, doesn't it? 'Cause it'll appear in the thing.
I think that's all you can give it. If you're going to leave a review, give it 5 stars. There's no point
go
doing
to all
less.
the trouble of undermining and dragging our average down like people do like on TripAdvisor or like sort of a pylon campaign that you might do to sort of elect someone weird as the Time Person of the Year, like mischievous 4chan style activity, like a subreddit group that's like, why don't we make this person Queen of England? No,
not that.
Sincere 5-star reviews.
Do you take notice of reviews? I do.
I've stopped reading them.
Too much.
Well, I read those ones, and I was pretty. Well, actually, those ones. I think I was the only person to have reviewed it at one point.
Yeah, you were.
That's a sorry state of affairs when a podcast widely available, or available to anyone in the world, really, is only been reviewed by 50% of the people in it. I mean, even you hadn't reviewed it.
No, I
still haven't, have you?
I haven't actually. No. I'm not big on social media, which is all the more impressive that I've got these bits from Twitter today.
Well done, because some of the things we'll of course be talking about, because the football season, the Premier League, which primarily what we'll be talking about unless there's an international football tournament, although of course occasionally we will talk about Serie A, League One and other leagues. It's mostly going to be the Premier League. So at the moment, we're still sort of engulfed in transfer sagas. I've always been a person that gets pulled into a transfer saga. I love it. I play football management games. I've sometimes played football management games to the detriment of my own mental health, detriment of relationships.
So the rest of us.
Do you remember when I used to have Football Manager on my phone? And
it was a constant. We missed out on a lot of work because of Football Manager, I think.
Yeah.
We spent a lot of time on it.
And I got so far in the future that like people where everyone was dying, it was a wasteland. Like so when Messi has now, eventually has left Barcelona and it's a sort of a teary event, I've lived that 1,000 times. I've seen Messi in every possible iteration of reality, like a sci-fi film. Well, I've seen the version where Lionel Messi stays and becomes manager. I've seen versions where he goes to Real Madrid. I've done mostly he would go to West Ham though, because that's who I was managing primarily in that.
Wow,
reality.
Parallel universes.
It's good to be able to access parallel realities, even just in the realm of football management.
That's
Bear, of course. He would normally wait till the red light's on before savaging one of the menagerie about the house, one of the old dumb chums tottering about the place, the incessant breeding, the sausage factory of kittens that we live in. Go on. What do you want to talk? I can see that you're
let's
on the
move
very
on
brink
to it.
of moving into football-based content.
Yeah, I think it's about time, isn't it? We've done 10 minutes. It feels feels about the right time. So it's all been about Messi, hasn't it, this week? What did you make of it? Did you see his press conference where he cried?
Yeah, I saw that. But they'd edited the one I watched where the crying was at the beginning.
You really had to search for the full version, which I did. I spent a lot of time looking at Messi crying this week. It made me a bit sad. I think, look, anyone who's crying uncontrollably like he was, that wasn't put on. People do. We've talked about politicians before, Theresa May and
on the YouTube channel. People putting on tears, or people suddenly, like if you're a public figure and you cry, that means what's happened is there's been a breach in your persona. I've never really been able to get a handle on Lionel Messi because of the intensity of his talent, because he's such a sort of a rare and unusual creature. He's Argentinian, he's playing for Barcelona. I don't understand him other than as a vehicle for magnificence. I don't have a sense of him as like a bloke. When I was watching that thing, I was trying to think, I wonder what his accent's like. I wonder, like the same way as if you like listen to a Premier League footballer and they're speaking in English, but I'm mostly talking about English ones, and they've got a Yorkshire accent or a Cockney accent or whatever. I like knowing that, but Messi, I don't know anything.
I realised I was watching it and I realised I'd never even heard him speak before.
He's an enigma.
Yeah.
He's an enigma. He's just a vehicle for his talent. Perhaps that's what sort of genius is supposed to be. And it's odd, isn't it, that at 34 he's still this defining figure. It's peculiar that his power and influence is such that him leaving La Liga is going to sort of, in a sense, damage it or change it in ways that are sort of unprecedented and difficult to fathom.
To the league in general, to La Liga. Yeah, I know it's. He's been holding it up for years. Obviously, Ronaldo before him, but you wonder what that club and that league is without him. He was that significant, and I suppose in turn what it will do for the French league, for Ligue 1 or whatever it's. How you meant to actually pronounce
it? I'd say
Yeah. But yeah, what an amazing attacking prowess they have now. They possess.
I think that, firstly, I would have liked him to have been somewhere in England, just as I could have started to understand him beyond this sort of enigma. I also think that him being in France, which I know Lille won the title or whatever, but it still seems to me, they've got Ramos as well now this season. Like, I think PSG now are turning into sort of like Harlem Globetrotters territory.
And I think the thing is quite telling this transfer window is that they got most of these players on free transfers. So it is Ramos free transfer as well, Wijnaldum as well. So it is become the go-to place for mercenaries on huge wages. It's to go to PSG to win guaranteed 3 trophies in France, you would think, and then the hope of winning the Champions League. But that eludes them, like it has eluded Manchester City. And I was thinking about this week that it feels, because of the kind of cup element, even though the huge clubs involved in the Champions League, it still seems that with Liverpool winning it, Chelsea winning it, that it's not about necessarily having the best players. Whereas I think in the league it is, in any league it is, really it's about having the strongest squad usually. Although obviously Leicester fans would disagree with that. But it's about something else. It's about a team ethic. Chelsea, no one would have fancied them last year really, and Liverpool the same when it happened to them. So it'll be interesting to see whether it does make any difference. You would say on paper it should. They should wipe the floor with everyone.
So, of course, you can buy success. That's all that's happening. And I suppose what is notable around, transfers have always had, necessarily the fee is sort of exciting. 100 million. Jack Grealish is worth 100 million. Like, it's an exciting thing, and to look back, at I remember when it was Roy Keane, it was 3.7. I remember it was Alan Shearer, 15 million, and then it was Trevor Francis at $1 million.
Yeah.
I suppose in a way, the part of the point of football is to connect us to the past, and almost any narrative strand you pick out of the game can be connected to that. Like with Barcelona, who have been their totemic footballers historically, Cruyff, Maradona, Figo, wherever you sort of go back. But perhaps there's no one quite like Messi. And again, with these massive record-shattering transfers, it's another way of tracing a route through time. And does this game, there's a good YouTube channel, in fact, right, where this bloke sort of puts on like old boots and stuff, like goes, these are the boots they wore in the 1950s. Right, how hard is it to do a penalty?
Impossible.
He's like in Billy's boots ones that are like little baguettes, little leathery baguette submarine shoes. He puts them on and takes a penalty, and then like with a leathery old ball with big sort of thick stitches in it. And I suppose that's how because as the game further and further becomes just an example of rampant capitalism and a sort of a disassociated thing, we've talked in the pilot about like the fact is you can't stop football from conjuring those feelings. So even when you watch Lionel Messi leave Barcelona because they can't afford somehow, they must be a badly run business, I think, Barcelona.
Yeah.
They can't afford to pay his wages, so they're letting him go. And he's still, when he cries, it seems like, a very sincere and real thing.
Yeah, I think that was the thing about that press conference for me that felt so eerie and strange, is that it was this very corporate event. It was, people sat down in masks. It wasn't the fans. After all that time and all the success that Messi has brought to Barcelona, and I know this was one of his, complaints, I suppose, about the whole event, is that he wasn't saying goodbye to the fans, and it's very weird to kind of see that. It felt like it was all the wrong context, that it shouldn't be happening, that he shouldn't be leaving anyway because he wanted to stay. It was due to Barcelona's bad management in general that he wasn't, and also there were no fans there. He wasn't saying goodbye to the fans. That just feels completely wrong. It was almost that all that is wrong with modern football, it was happening at that press conference. And then, and as a result, you're seeing a man uncontrollably sob, a man who we're used to seeing as almost flawless in every respect. And yet it all spilled out of him to the point where he was wiping his, he came out immediately and he was kind of wiping his nose. There was an awkward bit where I saw it where he was almost using his face mask as a tissue. And it just looked
We've
odd.
all done that. Like, what I don't like is to put on a face mask and it smells. That's
it's
what I'm
awful.
against.
I always wonder if it's my... it's too much.
What, your own breath?
My own breath. Every time it happens, I think, oh, God, does my breath smell that badly? And
Gareth,
always the same.
It simply does.
It does, doesn't it?
No,
I think it actually does. My friend told me recently that he said, isn't it awful when you realise a romantic interest has bad breath? And then I said, yeah, it is bad, isn't it? And he said, you do sometimes. Oh, come on, mate.
It's a non-negotiable bad breath. Now, let's see tell me what people said in the embarrassing, like in
We've
response.
done reviews. Yeah, let's go to Twitter. So the question you raised on Twitter was, tell me your embarrassing stories about either playing or supporting football. So I'll read a few out here. Sam Jim says, when I was 8, my mum made the manager sub me because she said I looked like I needed a shit. I didn't. I was just playing badly, but I ducked behind a tree and pretended to go for a shit anyway.
That's undue influence that the mother is exercising there. She shouldn't have that level of control over policy. That's what's going on in both the Harry Kane and Lionel Messi transfer sagas, is parental and familial intervention into the business of football, allowing a mum to introduce an on-field decision and take a player off, even for the most basic and fundamental of reasons, I think is...
But parents, I mean, that is the thing, isn't it? It's a huge part of, youth team football or school football is those parents that get involved in the game. I never went through that. My parents very rarely ever came to see me play for the Cubs. And when they did, they weren't, shouting and screaming. But some were. It's kind of amazing.
Did they? Yeah, they were there. They were a coy presence on the touchline.
Yeah. I mean, that's their general personality anyway. Next one, we have Patrick Hoff or Ho or Hugh. Or my PE teacher at school using me as an example of someone who plays tough. Then he shoulder barged me off the ball and into the sports hall wall, winding me in front of the whole football team, who were at the time significantly harder than me. So he's done an awful series of things there. First of all, he's set up this kid to be tough and hard, and then he's demonstrated how this kid is not tough and hard.
It seems almost like a piece of experimental theatre, and I think that would be winding.
I always thought that PE teachers, when I was at school, had crossed over too much into not having to be like a teacher.
They were the PE teachers have always been the junction, haven't they, between normal everyday teacher and some bloke.
Just
some bloke.
Yeah.
At our school, Mr. Ryder, he was borderline some bloke. There's often a military component, whether it's a female or male teacher.
Yes.
There's a definite crossover. They're not wearing the conventional clothes of a teacher. They're not using the conventional attitudes. No other teacher could legitimately tell you to get in a shower and be expected to keep their job. But the PE teacher roams free.
It was an awful time when they were able to do that. And they really were able to order you into that shower. I never actually tried saying I don't want to go in. But I know I
tried it. I would cut myself out of the whole game's business,
right?
To avoid the shower. Now,
how did you do that? Was it notes from your mum?
Notes. And then when that stopped working, I forewent school altogether.
Oh.
I just kept retreating from that shower in increasingly large steps until eventually I foreclosed the whole prospect.
School,
of education itself. Do you know what this makes me realise is that like the way that the climate has changed around mental health. I watched that thing on Netflix about. That riot at the Palace in the NBA when the Pistons played the Colts, I think, and Meta World Peace when he was talking about like his mental health and how affected he was and the pressure he was under before that event, which sort of seemed to take place under fan provocation, somewhat like the Cantona episode that we talked about last week on this show. It makes you realise that now, at least, mental health people talk about it explicitly and openly. And think of elsewhere in culture, like the borderline teacher, the PE teacher, and if there are any PE teachers listening, I do offer them nothing but respect and love. Just because I weren't good at sport, it doesn't mean that I should harbour any grudges at this point in my life as an adult man and as a father. But now you wouldn't. I mean, this shoulder barging, for example, that Patrick Huff's been through, like being winded and barged in front of a much harder football team. I don't see that happening in contemporary education.
You would think it's changed. I imagine the PE teacher role and what they're able to do and not do must have changed significantly more than any other subject, you would think. Because I always felt at the time, this isn't right. This is the way that these guys operate. Is that they get to, as you say, they don't have to wear any kind of uniform or suit. They get to kind of, it just didn't seem right that they get
the whistle. Basically their job was going out on the football pitch and telling you all to have a game and occasionally refereeing and shouting at you and obviously shoulder barging you. And perhaps all teachers favour the people that are good at their subject, and that's sort of understandable, but that seems all the more wounding when the thing that people are good at is physical excellence, if you're not included in that rare rarefied enclave of the
Yes.
people at the top of that game. Now, I did try to deploy it as a younger man. Well, I wasn't really a younger man. I was so young as a man that you'd have to have qualified me as a child. I was a little boy.
Although some people did look more like men at school,
Those
especially in the shower.
They were the best footballers, and they were part of the reason that I stayed out of that shower.
Yeah.
Fear, intimidation, and inferiority. I talked more when I changed schools when I was 11. I told everyone, dishonestly, it has to be said, that I was good at football. I said that because that school, all they played was rugby. It was a boarding school. I went to a boarding school for a year. I didn't like it there. I never wanted to be there. I lied and said, I'm good at football. Not realising that this lie could
Unravel.
it could unravel, and it did unravel eventually. During of all places on a football pitch,
Wow.
during a football match against another school. What I don't understand sometimes when you tell a story from your childhood, you think I don't actually know how this could have happened because it seems like it shouldn't have unfolded in this way. I managed to lie so convincingly that I was good at football, but that I was like included in the squad for a football match, albeit on the bench, and then I was brought on at left back. And of all the positions you could bring me on to demonstrate my inefficiency, left back was probably the one. Yeah, I'm no Andrew Robertson style left back delivering neat crosses. What I remember most of all, Gareth, is the vastness of the field.
You're absolutely right.
I sort of remember thinking, this is enormous.
Yes.
Because the lie was so profound that actually, not only was I not good at football, but I was very, very inexperienced at football indeed. When I was exposed, in the left back position, in the end, I resorted to fouling.
Yeah.
That at least. Why are you shaking your head at that, Jen? That's
That's the worst thing.
What
some
fouling?
people like that.
It's really obvious if you foul because you can't play football.
That fouling is
That's what inexperienced players do.
foul.
Yeah.
In football of all types at all levels.
You've got to fake it to make it. I mean, what else can you do? It is the moment where you feel most exposed is when you're given the ball, and then you suddenly, faced with that gigantic pitch, think, what do I do? And all football knowledge, even if you have it from watching the game, it evaporates immediately. I've been in that position loads of times. The difference between playing five-a-side, where basically it's kind of pinball, and if you stand there roughly looking like you know what you're doing, you can just about get away with it. But then 11 aside, wow, that is a different beast.
Have you been exposed in a similar fashion to me? Have you had to stand at the top of a stair while Robert Wrigley explains to the housemaster, who was also the PE teacher? I will stress that this was a state school in spite of the paraphernalia that I'm describing here. I can't remember his name, that teacher, but he was a Nottingham Forest fan, and he was pretty full on and intense. And I heard Robert Wigley saying, no, he bought Brandon, and he was shit. He was an appalling player.
Did you only last one game then?
I may have been double subbed, Jack Grealish style. I may have been bought on.
Right, brand off.
I don't think they had another substitute. I think they just said, we didn't mean that. He didn't touch the floor. 3-second rule. Bring him off again.
Sniff him. Yeah, he hasn't played.
No, he's all right. Yeah, that was it. I carried the shame.
Of course,
Still.
It stays with you. This makes my next point all the more confusing, because was this before or after you appeared in a commercial as a talented young footballer? Because I'm sure that happened, didn't it?
No, what happened, Gareth, is I auditioned for a commercial
auditioned for
as a talented footballer, and I didn't get the part because part of the audition was, could you keep this ball up using your keepy up skills, while in my case wearing a pair of the Tasmanian Devil Christmas boxer shorts, tartan, very open boxer shorts, may I say,
Wow.
flailing at the leg, flailing at the fly, while the youth team members of Charlton and Spurs and West Ham, handsome, gorgeous, young sort of Cypriot looking kids,
Baffled by what was in front of them.
why is he here, this guy? Because I didn't wear a football kit because I said I wouldn't, and I refused to. I don't know.
Hang on, was it a commercial political decision at this point
to what's that?
to not wear a football kit?
I thought, they can't make me.
Well, what? But it's a football audition.
Yeah, you're trying to get the part here.
I've always had these challenges that I feel like you can't make me. I mean, I didn't have to go. That's the other thing. I didn't have to lie my way into that football team at Hot Crawl. I didn't have to go to that audition. Why did I spend
This
my younger
smacks
life
of you all over us, I have to
pretending
say.
to be what I'm not?
Well, no, it's the idea of something versus the reality of it.
Reality.
Yeah, I want to be in this film, but when I get to that audition, I won't do any of it. They'll have to live by my rules. And one of my rules is I'm not going to go to filming today. And then hating the experience, right? This is a, I don't want to tarnish your entire career,
No, because
but it's happened many. I've known you a long time. And
it's too late now.
Happened.
It's happened, hasn't it? And like, yeah, you're right, Gareth. There is a different way I could have handled that entire experience. Have you not lied your way into any football teams or had an on-field humiliations? I mean, I forgot about incidents like Paul Scholes' Willie coming out, Gary Lineker doing a poo
on the pitch.
I mean, these are the greats. These are the famous ones.
I love how Lineker openly talks about that. It's brilliant.
Lineker has freed himself.
He really
from
has.
shame over the years. He's owned it. Of course, he has. He's a good man and a fine bastion of top flight football.
Now, my experiences of playing and indeed living has always been to just do what anyone tells me, and that was
Gareth, stay deep.
Yeah,
mark him. That's it.
It was always about, and this says a lot about me, I think, it's about approval. If I could win over the approval of whichever sports teacher stroke religious education or any, because in my school you didn't even necessarily have football teachers or sports teachers. It'd be people filling in who did other subjects, so like even less qualified. They just like the game of football. So I had an RE teacher who I actually really liked because he had the other side to him as well. But he would just tell me what to do in games, and I felt like as long as I stick to that, then I couldn't go too far wrong.
Gareth, for this game there are 10 basic commandments. Thou shalt not go offside. Thou shalt focus on your distribution and cover as many others. So you just use this religious studies ability and you just count out. I mean, you can chart my psychological development through these various incarnations of football. Even when I was relatively recently invited to participate in a charity football match I said, no, I'll just be co-manager. I don't want to be up there with Ralph Little and other people that are like good at football.
That must have happened.
Or that lad out of Only Way is Essex,
Mark, right, who's actually brilliant.
Like, who think plays now, doesn't he, for
professionally,
someone? I don't want to be there with them. So I goes, I'll just be a manager with Harry Redknapp. And so I did be a manager with Harry Redknapp for a game at Leyton Orient. It was like Leyton Orient's Golden Oldies or Best Ever, sort of like
Sorry, mate.
That's okay. Of Leyton Orient. And they were absolutely the former Orient players were terrific. Even they'd remained incredibly fit, and the celebrities, well, one or two of them were all right. Who sort of turned up? I can't remember. But nonetheless, I just managed with Harry Redknapp.
Yeah, I think that's the best use of your talents.
I just sort of I wondered what was going to happen, and Harry Redknapp did give me just goes, all right, let's just get out of here. Later someone told me that's what he used to do at West Ham.
I get the feeling that's the case. Yeah. I don't think he changes, does he, Redknapp? Let's
just get out. I don't know, really. They're certainly not on television the way some of the stuff that dear Harry Redknapp says.
So you must have been invited to participate in many of those, because I always think that is the mark for me. And it would never happen and will never happen and shouldn't ever happen, but if it was to happen that I became famous for some reason, for me being invited to participate in one of those charity football matches, I think would be the apex. That would be the apex. Yeah, I think it'd be wonderful.
Well, this is what I'm thinking about long term for this podcast. Sure, you may get an invitation to participate in a sort of a pseudo celebrity soccer tournament. That's possible, but what I want is to crowdfund the purchase of a football club.
Here we go.
No.
Do you know what? I knew there'd be an ulterior motive here.
And it's this. It's crowdfund.
We'll just do a fun football. It'd be nice. We talk about football. Let's commit it to tape. Let's stick it out as a podcast. It'll be fine. Week 2, I want to buy a football club. I knew this would happen. Come on. What's the plan, Brand?
Well, we just start a crowdfund. We buy a football club and then we run it according to my whims.
What are you in this? Are you manager, chairman, both?
I don't get involved in on-field decisions. I'm not like that mum.
I don't believe that for a second.
What, you think I'll stick my oar in?
You'll probably just stick to the business side.
When
I can't
I've been
imagine.
privileged enough to go into the dressing room at West Ham United, all I've ever offered those boys is
love.
And gentle encouragement, the occasional sideward glance. Now, with this new club that we'll acquire, I don't want something heavily in administration, Gareth. I don't want a money pit. I want something that we, the listeners and participants of this podcast, can crowdfund together and then run together democratically to show that the principles that I espouse elsewhere in our social media could genuinely work. Ryan Reynolds has got Wrexham.
Yes.
Why can't we have one? Because we haven't got the money. I mean, but think about it. If you are a club in trouble, maybe we can crowdfund you.
Is this the A-team? I'm sure that's the opening credits.
And no one else can help.
How much would it be?
I don't know.
What's minimum?
Jen, do you seriously think I've done any research?
But minimum.
A minute ago, I was talking about myself auditioning for the Adidas Predator football boot in like 1992. Before that, I was talking about the sham of lies that led to me making an ill-advised appearance under 11's football match. I just hasten to add that I was under 11 at that time. And now I'm saying I want to buy a football club. The whole thing's being carried out in the same ad hoc manner.
How much does it cost? You must know. They talk about it, don't they?
Well, like, West Ham, for example, 400 million. Now, if we could just crowdfund for all we need now, we just need another.
Would they have a
400
sponsor?
million.
Would you be anti-sponsors on the kit and stuff?
Yep, that's right. We'll run it according to our principles. And we'll run campaigns, and it'll be like Live Aid. For just 400 million, we can continue to pay Mark Noble, Declan Rice. We won't have to sell Declan Rice to Chelsea. we
get
can
enough...
treat Antonio's thighs the way they deserve to be treated. Gently, lovingly.
Injury-free. We get enough trouble trying to find sponsors for anything that we do anyway. I don't know how we're going to get sponsors for this.
I don't think actually that it should be a top flight Premier League club.
Right.
I think it should be a small club. Like, look, if Gary Neville and them lot, the class of 92, can own, who do they own? Salford.
If them,
don't they?
Some of the best footballers who have ever lived.
Whether it's David Beckham, the indefatigable icon, or Gary Neville, the spokesperson of a footballing generation. Like, they've got Salford.
Yeah.
What about Grays?
I think...
Or Hull?
Yeah, well, Hull, I mean, they are looking to sell. So, yeah, I mean, I'm right behind that, mate.
See?
Absolutely.
It's the sort of thing that could happen. Look, not yet. Not in week one. Not in the first proper episode. Of course, we don't have the financial clout, know-how or whatever to acquire a football club, but down the line stranger things happen. Yes, a few financial partners would need to be brought on, but what about those clubs? Are you interested in those clubs like FC United and Dulwich?
Oh, absolutely.
I think fan-run, democratically run football clubs.
Yeah, absolutely. My only worry about this, or one of my many worries about this actually, is that this is a way of you finally forming that cult that you've been after for so long.
The old cult is coming along very nicely, thank you. I'm doing regular live performances in churches, and I've incorporated spiritual and meditative practice into my live performances. The cult doesn't need any help from football, but for there to be a political arm that attracts the right kind of people that are willing to get onto the streets for what they believe in, it would be useful to own some casuals.
Well, look, maybe we throw this out to social media then, in terms of nominate some teams for us to try and seriously get involved with, to lobby
as well. Do the maths, because let's face it, there'll be challenges along the way. So we'll part that now. Maybe you could do a jingle there, Jen.
Oh,
I would love it. I would love it if we bought a football club.
I'll tell you honestly, I will love it if we beat them. Love it.
And by them, I mean the oppressive capitalist classes that currently dominate the game.
I always thought about this.
I would love it. I'd love it if we bought a football club. Now, we can return now to a more gentle item. The Harry Kane transfer saga.
Yes.
Will they? Won't they? Did he? Didn't he? Gentleman's agreement. Who's a gentleman in this game? Will he leave? Won't he leave? And I think, Gareth, you proposed when have you ever sort of gone on strike? Now, of course, Harry Kane has been very explicit that he hasn't gone on strike.
Yes, he has.
He was always expected not to be back on training when he was training starts. That's what he says, isn't it? I was never going to be there at training when training starts.
It reminded me very much of one of your excuses of there's no such thing as time.
There's no such thing as time, so how can I possibly be there then? Because there is no then, and possibly not a there. Well, we're not going to pay you then. That's unfair. I've got a contract. There's no such thing as a gentleman's agreement. Yeah, it's a baffling saga, and I suppose you've some thoughts on it, have you, mate? Because I hope so, because you're right in the middle of a football podcast.
All right. Well, it's interesting because this week is Spurs versus Man City, isn't it?
He's not going to play in that, is he? Is he going to play, or is he still quarantined?
Who knows? I've heard that he will play. He will start. I mean, the Grealish is now a sub-story, isn't it? In the
it's been resolved, happily resolved. There he is. Grealish is there now. We're all just going to get used to that.
I hear...
And Villa snuck in those transfers. We've got Danny Ings.
They did very well, though, didn't
We've got
they?
Leon Bailey. If I was a Villa fan, though, you would know what this means, wouldn't you? You would go, right, we're not just getting that for nothing, are we?
No.
It's like your lover preparing you a wonderful dinner give you a lovely shoulder massage.
Hang on.
I'm leaving you. I'm leaving you. Enjoy your dinner. I hope you like that shoulder massage. I'm going to Man City. Why? You're not even a footballer. I know, but they got so much money. I couldn't say no. What position? I'm gonna be probably somewhere on the left, I think, along with Sterling and Foden. But you can't play football. So they don't know that. I told them I could.
Thought you were going somewhere else with that.
No.
Good.
Never.
Well done. I mean,
Don't know where, Jen.
who knows what's going to happen with Kane? It's I hear people saying it can't happen now, and some people saying it almost certainly will happen. I've heard that Laporte and Jesus might go to Spurs in exchange or part exchange. I think Spurs fans seem pretty happy about that, actually. I suppose
It's over. Their hearts are broke.
Well, ultimately, surely when a player decides that they don't want to play at that club anymore, it's done, isn't it? It's done. It's like the end of a relationship. It literally is that. It's like there's no going back from that.
I love it when Harry Redknapp said that there was a player at West Ham. What did he say, mate?
I was listening to him last week reacting to this story, and the guys on this podcast were asking him if he ever had any similar issues when he was as a manager, and I think maybe specifically as West Ham manager, and he said that there was a player, and he was very careful about this. He said, there's a player I had who is now a manager. It's like he was giving us clues. Who once said to him, if you don't let me go, I will score own goals.
Now we'll get on to what a terrible and mad threat that is in a second.
Yeah.
But why is Harry Redknapp being a riddler? Like, riddle me this. It's a current former West Ham player who's a manager. I haven't done extensive research. It's not going to be Alan Devonshire over at Maidenhead. He's a good man, and in fact, Harry Redknapp never managed him. Matty Taylor, I think maybe was under Redknapp, although maybe he came after. I can't remember. Slaven Bilic.
That was your shout last week. Immediately you said Bilic, and I thought that's a good shout.
Because I can imagine Bilic saying something like that because he's sort of a bit off key, isn't he? He's in a band. He's a socialist.
Yeah.
We'll score on goal. You. I hope hold on, is that slander? It might not be, and it probably isn't. And what do I know?
And I love Bilic.
I love
brilliant.
Bilic.
He's a great personality.
When I met him at West Ham, they was all having pizzas, and it just seemed like a cab office. Is what I will say.
How all the players were having pizza,
if you want to call it that, at West Ham, and it seemed like a cab office back there. People just hanging out and like, hey, what's going on? Like fags and that. It was like mental.
Wow, this is recent.
Well, Bilic was
Very
manager.
recent. Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, relatively recent.
Eating pizza and stuff.
Different managers I've met. Zola, Allardyce.
Yeah, you kissed Allardyce.
Kissed Allardyce.
That was a huge moment.
Yeah, it was a big moment when I kissed Allardyce because I'd been in the North Bank at West Ham during the game. I'd come down from where I was meant to be commentating or punditing with beer, not commentating because I couldn't properly commentate. Oh look, is he trying? Did he push it? Oh no, he's fell over. It wouldn't be helpful insight, but I was providing punditry. And then they were going, come down here, Russell, come down here. And I thought, I'll show them. And I did show them by going down there, and it was pretty amazing, actually. Yeah. It was like a pretty beautiful experience,
you were
actually.
Match of the day.
Quite intense. Yeah.
That's absolutely amazing.
What more do you want?
That won nothing. Again, that would be second up for me after being in a
pseudo-celebrity charity match. We'll get you on that. But you've got to back me in my ill-advised scheme to crowdfund a football club. And if you can think of a club, please, you can use my Twitter accounts and indeed Gareth's, if you want to. What is yours? Do you even on the internet?
Not much. I think it's at Gareth Trews. It's from
the Trews days. Remember where that all ended up. Very nearly ruined politics for a little while there, and use the hashtag football is nice and respond to which football club you think could be vulnerable to being taken over. Could be it doesn't be open-minded, I would say, because we could run any club. Could be like Jossie's Giants, if you remember that TV show.
Oh, brilliant show. From
the 1980s in England. It's probably a reference that don't hold up well. But mate, the Harry Kane transfer saga, I believe, leads us to think about the withdrawal of Labour and striking, and whenever or not you've gone on strike. And you asked me if I've ever done it, and I have. I went on strike on the film.
No. You refused to do something that you're contractually obliged.
I ain't doing that. On Rock of Ages, there was a bit where I wanted to do a scene that I was doing because I was pretty keen to go home.
He's the perfect actor.
Can I go home now? Oh no, we've got to do other stuff. Oh, so I thought.
This was opposite Tom Cruise, by the way.
Now Tom Cruise very kindly said I could use his exercise trailer to do my exercises in if I wanted. So I'd done my exercises, but that meant I had to de-wig and everything. I took off I was wearing a little wig. I took off all my stuff. I'd done some exercise.
That's it, though, isn't it? Clothes and a wig. It's not like you haven't transformed. And then there was the part I had to take a wig off. That is
Gareth, I urge you to go. If you've not seen Rock of Ages lately, go and watch it. I'm doing an accent.
Yeah.
I've got a wig on. It's some of the best acting I think you'll ever see. It's very moving. It's like that Anthony Hopkins film, Father, or whatever.
the father, yeah.
It's like that.
Very
It's so
similar.
touching to see someone act so well.
Mate, I will say, I've
Wigs,
seen the scenes you were
accents.
in, and I very much enjoyed it. I enjoyed the kiss with Alec Baldwin, who's a brilliant man and brilliant actor.
Fine kisser.
But I guess my point is that your complaints about costume is literally down to some clothes and a wig.
It's not the same as like one of them actors that's like what they're ensconced in like prosthetics
For hours
playing
on
for,
end.
I don't know, the Elephant Man. Or something like that.
But I'm sorry, carry
Or
on.
Planet of the Apes, say.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's basically felt like that. They glue the wig down, Gal.
Oh,
It's
sorry.
not just on your
Sorry.
head like a little bowler hat. You've got to glue it down to the scalp.
Right. How did you deal with that? I can't imagine that went down well, did it?
I think Nicola, our friend, was working on it. I go, get that wig off us, Nick. I'm going to go do some exercise in Tom Cruise's trailer. Russ, you can't just go and exercise. He said, I can use it any time. Oh, Russ, you're withdrawing your labour. You can't go on strike in Tom Cruise. I'm standing up for the rights of workers. Where are you? I'm in Tom Cruise's exercise trailer. Part of the people. And then, then they went, actually, we're finished now, so can you come back to set immediately? But I was all hot and I took my wig off. And it's not nice to have a wig glued on your sweaty head.
No.
So if you're wondering, have I known suffering? The answer is yes. And that's what happens if you withdraw labour, and let that be a warning to footballers that have pulled their I'm not coming to training card, because it can be a real gamble.
Yeah, and you had to star opposite a monkey, didn't you? So, even
That's
tougher.
right. That baboon, I've never forgiven him either, and that was Tom Cruise's idea to have that baboon in the film, and that baboon was very, very aggressive.
But he was also more demanding than you, which is
Not easily
unknown.
achieved.
Exactly.
I've got to assume it's his handlers really that
Sure.
were making those demands, because the baboon himself didn't. It seemed like he was indifferent to the cultures and advances that humankind had made since branching off from baboons some million or so years ago, many millions perhaps, and. But he did have a trailer in which he had some other monkeys for his needs. So let's just say he was doing rather well. So look, what I would like to return to is: have you ever sought to withdraw labour in a labour-style dispute?
No. I mean, I think I'll go back to what I let you know about earlier, which was that I just do what people
Don't
tell
like
me.
aggro. You don't
No.
like causing trouble like
No,
that.
I've never done anything like that.
Can I
What
just
should we
look
talk
at some
about?
more? Well, I'd like to just see a few more of those tweets
Yeah.
of people's embarrassment, because I find it interesting. Fran O'Reilly, who's a blue tick, says, when I was 12 playing for my school team, I was always left in goal as everyone thought I was shit. I was finally given my chance to play up front. I scored an absolute belter of a goal, only to discover it was in the wrong net, confirming indeed I was shit. That is a shame.
It really is.
To go to the trouble of scoring a goal only to realise you've misunderstood the most basic fundamentals, unless it was a Slaven Bilic style protest against the Rangers.
Yeah.
Allegedly.
Allegedly.
Alleged, of course, alleged. And but this is what Colin James Murphy has incurred. I played for a youth club team when I was about 13, 14, and everyone on the bench was shouting, "You're offside, get onside," and waving their arms. I had no idea what offside was. So I continued to stand near the goalkeeper while they continued shouting. Well, Colin, they should have explained to Colin the offside rule prior to the game.
Definitely. That makes me feel so sad, because I remember playing football much earlier than I should have done, i.e. when I didn't know what it was, really. I remember it was because I joined Cubs.
Is Cubs the Cubs, or are they
The Cubs.
a team?
Yeah. No, the Cubs.
Like Baden-Powell, green jumper, woggle.
That's it. All of that.
Play with a knife, help an old lady.
Yes.
Cubs.
Yeah.
Cubs.
My mum decided she was at her wit's end with me, because as a kid, I wasn't doing too well at school and was bullied severely, which I think one of the reasons we get on. It's how we connect.
So I was always such a good bully.
Yeah, there you go.
Bullying's bad.
Yeah. I think we've both experienced it.
I've experienced bullying.
I was never bullied.
That's a shame, really, Jen, because you can see in your personality that there's not been enough guidance.
Yeah.
The guidance that bullying might have provided.
I didn't
bullying's
know
quite
how
bad.
to bully me.
Too confident.
No.
What was you didn't get bullied? You might
No.
not have noticed it, Jenny.
I think so. I was called Crazy Jenny in school.
What was it called? Crazy Jenny?
But I got on with them. I was like, oh, hey.
Oh, you turned it against
It's
them.
me, Crazy Jenny. You reclaimed it. Were
Yeah.
you in the football team?
Yeah, I was on the boys' team up until like 13 and then swapped to the
They let
girls.
you be in the boys' team.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Because you're the
You must
same
have been
side.
brilliant.
You're the same, so you can shoulder
Was
them.
everyone in the boys' team?
No.
Just you. You're the sole
I think there was
female
there might
in
have
the
been
male
one other
team.
girl.
You and another female, Crazy Jenny,
I wasn't Crazy
and
Jenny in that
Bonkers
school.
Margot on the wings. Looking.
If you're good at sport, they can't bully you.
I know the rules, Jenny.
Yeah.
I went to school.
So I
Yeah,
didn't get
this is
bullied.
his whole
Good at
problem.
sport, they can't bully you.
This is why he is who he is.
What you have to do is cultivate a different persona altogether, and possibly purchase a football club through crowdfunding.
Yeah.
Then they
finally.
can't bully us.
But Gareth, you were good at sport. Why did they bully you?
No, I wasn't when I was
When
a
you
kid.
good at cricket?
No, I wasn't. No.
When you good at football?
Cricket
You were
was
good at
too upper
football.
class. No, mate, I didn't. I wasn't for a long time. Not until the RE teacher. I mean, honestly, he changed my
It
life in
took
loads
God
of ways.
to make you good at football.
Yeah, it really did. No,
Is there
genuinely.
nothing the Lord can't do? So how did
There you
how
go.
did the religion? What did he tell you?
Well, look, when I was at Cubs, my mum sent me to Cubs.
Cubs is too prominent.
Another
in life.
integral part of my life, really, because my mum sent me there because of the bullying, and I think she was just thinking, I need to get him around some other kids.
Let's nip this in the bud. Send him to Cubs. Put this cap on and this woggle. Let's see those bullies find a way around that.
It'll be
God.
absolutely fine. I got loads of badges. It was good. It was good for me, Cubs.
You're arming the bullies.
Yes.
Your mum's the CIA arming the Mujahideen so that bullying will one day in the future become a 9/11 scale disaster.
I don't know, mate, because I tell you what you get at Cubs, right, is because you get badges, there is a certain amount of, because you've all bought into this system. You've all bought into the Cub system, the woggle, the tie, all of those kind of things, and mainly the badges, which is a kind of economy in itself. So the more badges you get, the more respect you genuinely get from your peers. And
On the basis of the badges.
on the basis of the badges. And
Hold on, sixer, seconder.
Yeah, all of that as
that.
well. I got the different woggles. I rose to the top.
You rose to the top. This is like Goodfellas.
Yeah.
But for Cubs.
I was distraught when I left the Cubs because it was like my identity had vanished overnight.
It's a bit like Hurt Locker when Jeremy Renner
That's it.
leaves
Yeah.
the Iraq War and goes back, and in the supermarket he's just confused.
Yes.
I don't know what to do
I
now.
don't know
I'm not
what
in
to
the
do.
Cubs. What do I do? Do I get a
Oh,
badge?
Kayla! Where are you?
What's wrong with him? What's wrong with him? Why is this guy crying and trying to start a fire by rubbing two sausages together? He was in the Cubs. Don't worry. We'll take him to a vet hospital where Cubs like him can be treated properly. You know, none of us received a hero's welcome. None of us. After all we gave, my maiden pal, this waggle was my life.
Mate, honestly, it was
Didn't
huge.
you just go in Girl Guides after that? Or whatever it's
Girl
next?
Guides?
Well, what is it? Boys Guides?
Oh, it's mixed now.
Brigade.
No, it's called
Boys Brigade. Boys Brigade is borderline, isn't it? Like if you, like it does, it's edging towards not sounding like it's sub-military.
Yes. Yeah, they're guiding you in a certain direction there, aren't they? No, mate, it's Scouts next. But what happens?
Scouts, that
What
was
happens
it.
at Scouts is suddenly no
You're
one knows
nothing.
you're nothing.
After you've climbed to the top of the Cubs.
There you go, and then you go to Scouts, and unfortunately, I made the mistake of going to a different Scouts, as
it
in
wasn't the feeder club.
it wasn't the feeder club. So it was like turning up at a new, an adult football
Start
club.
again. Your badges mean nothing here, son. We don't care how many old ladies you've helped across the road.
Yeah.
It's nothing here. This is a
Nothing.
new bunch of geeks all together.
Yeah, and overnight it was like, oh, the bullies again.
Oh no.
Yeah, but for that brief, I don't know, 2 or 3 years in the Cubs, life
That was a window into a wonder.
life was good. So many things changed. I had that respect. I felt good about
So
myself.
your mum's technique actually worked.
It did work really well.
How often does parenting actually work? Hardly ever.
Well, I think her parenting was to say, I'm not getting involved with this. Let's stick you in Cubs.
This is the Cubs problem
But
now.
it worked. Were you ever in Cubs?
Yeah, of course I was.
You were in
Gareth.
Cubs.
But not for very long because I didn't like it. It was Wednesday. It was cold. It's Wednesday. I don't like to do. I was born on a Wednesday. That's a sacred time. Itchy little jumper. Woggle. I didn't like the get up one bit, and I didn't like the sort of vibe. I didn't like the bonhomie. I don't fit in.
No,
I'm not,
that's the theme, isn't it?
So I think I went once or twice, got the uniform, and got the hell out of there, man. The Cubs wasn't for me, gal.
Mate, I'm sorry. Did your mum write any notes to get you out of
Because
Cubs?
it was voluntary.
Yes.
There is no point. in writing notes saying Russell can't come. I just wouldn't go. I think, I would stay and watch maybe Tomorrow's World or whatever it was on the TV instead of attending
I did love your mum's notes. I remember we actually used some of that in one of your stand-up shows.
We actually found notes from my mother.
Well, because you'd invented them yourself, hadn't you? You'd written some from yourself. They weren't even from your mum.
I'd forged notes.
Yeah.
And they were still around.
Yeah.
Right, yeah. Russell won't be coming to school for a while now because he isn't in the mood for that sort of thing, really.
He's a very sensitive child. I mean, brilliant in his own way.
Have you not noticed? There's something about him, isn't there? In spite of his inability to cooperate within the system, one day his character traits will pay off. No, yeah, you're right. I couldn't handle it.
Do you want some more of these?
I wouldn't mind a little bit more.
Embarrassing stories.
Yeah. Why don't you read a couple then?
So Phil Loins.
Well done, Phil.
I was
Is
given.
that a joke?
I don't know.
Because here it says Phil Me Loins, you see. Like Phil Loins, and then
very
he's got
good.
middle name _ Phil Me Loins.
Phil me Loins.
That's what he seems to be suggesting.
I was given the Happy Gilmore treatment when being told I wasn't on the team for the upcoming season. If your name wasn't read out, better luck next year. Oh, school. Bloody hell. And the ones who did make it were all given a new pair of Adidas Predators.
That's what I was meant to be advertising.
But me and the other two rejects just left. Oh, that's heartbreaking. Imagine that as a
mate.
kid. Not only are you breaking the heart and potentially minds of kids who haven't made the football team, you're rewarding the people who did with brand new Adidas Predators.
Predator is right. It's a dog eat dog world out there. You better learn that fast, huh?
Yeah. Mate, it's a good job you didn't get that gig, because you'd have to look back at that and go, I'm ashamed of myself.
And also the advert wouldn't have been very good, because it would have seemed that the Adidas Predator football boot made you sort of waddle about in pants haplessly.
They'd have had to show like your face and then cut down to like a stunt double body.
Like Ronaldo at age 9. Kicking around.
Why did we keep his face? I don't know.
Ronaldo's better looking. Just go with this Ronaldo kid. I see a bright future. Lewis Robinson, when I was 9 years old, I was on the bench waiting for what felt like an eternity to get on. I feel you, Lewis, I feel you. Had the fam there too. Eventually I got on. Throw-in was taken. Final whistle went. Must have been on the pitch 5 seconds. My ma went berserk with the teacher. Caused the right scene. Brutal.
Wow.
So actually a lot of the problems are to do with the challenges of parental influence.
Yeah.
And again, we point to the Harry Kane 6-year deal orchestrated by his dad. Brother.
Yeah, if I'd love to see it, but
we don't know, because we don't criticise Harry Kane's actual
No,
family
I'm
or
sure
Harry
they're
Kane
lovely.
himself. But there must come a point when you're managing someone and they become one of the most prominent and successful athletes in the world where you think, hold on a minute, this has gotten a bit more complicated now.
Yes.
Should we put a transfer clause in?
Have you ever thought of a member of your family acting as an agent for you?
No, never, because I know them. And like it would not be an appropriate way. Like it couldn't work.
No.
Ron Brand, my father. Ron Brand does have the personality of
He
an
really
agent.
does. He's exactly that.
He's exactly like a football agent.
Yeah.
All right, son, coming in. Right, let's get this deal done. Right, okay.
You've done what? You're threatened to score own goals now, son.
That's not a way to deal with Harry. No, yeah, like Ron Brand has got the personality of a football agent, and I don't mean that in a detrimental way, of course. He's my father, but I wouldn't cope well with that. Keep it professional, I say.
I'm going to show you some other ones, actually. So I divided this into adult and child. So we're now in the adult section.
Finally. No, this is for things that have happened to adults.
Yes.
Go on in, mate. What's
So
happened to
John
these poor
Fenner,
adults?
you'll see in a minute why I picked this. Being forced to wear only a skimpy Tarzan mankini and caveman wig. I mean, we've all been through that. And sat in the away end at Bristol, right next to the home fans, supporting my boys, the Tigers. It was my stag do, to be fair. Didn't make it any easier in 90 minutes. So, yeah.
No,
it's the worst. It's difficult enough, I think, being a fan at any point. You know, you have to really arm yourself up, as you will know, more than me, actually, because obviously you're recognisable.
You don't want to be noticed. Like, certainly before I was famous. I mean, when I became recognisable at football matches, it was a significant moment. And when I was asking this question about embarrassing things, one of the worst things that happened as a fan was when it was a minute's silence for I believe it was the death of John Lyle, former West Ham manager. And it was a perfectly observed, in my memory, but memory plays tricks, don't it? It would feel like it might have been a Wednesday night, sacred, blessed Wednesdays, at Upton Park. And it was like a 1 minute silence. And I was famous then, and I had one of them. I was wearing you remember, like, I used to wear those little leggings? I was a funny little thing, wasn't I? I had very tight trousers on, Gal. Very tight.
I remember that. I remember how long it used to take you to get them off. Oh, that sounds weird. But after gigs, that was like an operation.
It was. You have to stand on them and kick around, flailing.
You had several staff members to help it.
People came in, let's get his trousers off him, the poor sod. It's like I was being cut out of a car. Jaws of life. Yeah. And I had like one of them Nokia phones, like that did the like sort of a sarcastically awful ringtone. And I'm always in the feeling of a 1 minute silence at a crowd. I'm always feeling a sort of a burgeoning terror that something's going to happen.
Of course.
And even if it's someone else, even if someone else shouts an expletive or does something mental, I don't like it.
No, I get all hot and red.
I think it's good that they've turned it to an applause. It's
Absolutely.
become a bit more of an applause, isn't it, these days?
It's the wise choice, because that applause drowns out anything else. Even if people do shout things.
You can do what you want. Use it as you could shout your secrets into the abyss, couldn't you?
Yeah.
I've never loved you. I've always felt alone. Shout it out. But the silence, it's a precipitating state. It brings stuff up in you.
It's an invitation, is what it is.
It's an invitation. The sacredness sometimes too perfect, pure like snow. But I feel like, I think a lot, and I know you do, about what is it that football is evoking, what is that culture pointing towards. There is the numinous, i.e. holy experience of going into a football ground, the sense of losing your identity in a crowd, and then in a silence it does feel sometimes almost unbearably religious. And part of, I think, what's difficult about the game now is that you have things like these inflated transfer sagas, or not, market-led. Inflated perhaps isn't the right way to describe it, because the market is the market or whatever, but a sense that football's moved away from what it really means, and it's only the meaning and the purpose and the power of it only bursts through inadvertently. Something like a minute silence, I think, really reminds us that there's something powerful in community, something powerful in shared goals, coming together, even for competition within a managed environment where there's an acceptance of the mutual terms, not the rapacious, terrifying competition that certain social systems set out that inevitably lead to the destruction of certain people. So in the midst of that 1 minute silence, where I'm there in my little painted on ink trousers,
booties,
my eyeliner, booties, I'm all tall anyway, they had another 6 inches to my height.
Let alone the hair.
The hair is piled up upon my little head, my little bonnet of sprayed hair.
There's animals in there.
I'm probably stood next to a dignitary like Trevor Brooking. Yes, there's birds nesting and creatures flourishing in my hair. And then that... And of course, I feel like everyone knew it was me immediately.
Yeah.
And I sort of had to get my hand down my trousers. I mean, the phone wasn't down my trousers. I'm not trying to get off on it.
Why not?
It was in my back pocket, but you know how they can be on a tight jean. The back pocket, it's like sort of trying to slide your hand into a train door. I got in there eventually, but it was a real sort of hot, prickly, tingly moment.
Awful.
Of footballing embarrassment.
Oh, that's a nightmare. That's awful. And that's just one of your experiences of being recognised at Upton Park. Because I've been to a few games with you, and it's, not too long goes by without someone shouting something. And that's your own supporters. That's not even the opposition.
No, they're a friendly bunch. You've got to love them, really.
It was difficult. There was a period where there was the transition to moving into the corporate rooms, which just aren't the same, are they? I mean, they give you a tray of sandwiches, and all the people at Upton Park were lovely, all the staff people, they were really nice, but it's just not the same.
Barbara, the tea lady, Leslie, another tea lady,
yeah.
Mark Noble, the captain of the football of the men's, the first 11. Yeah, no, you meet amazing people there. That was what was really lovely about West Ham. You're right there, Jen.
Do we
what are you
need to
doing?
connect your phone to the Bluetooth?
Well, I was just wondering if there's anybody that I could ring about this sort of stuff. I mean, do you feel like we should be calling a famous person?
Yeah, I mean, we threatened that to be an item, didn't we? So it would be nice. I think everyone looked forward to it. Certainly it looked good on the
when we were describing the podcast, it felt good. And we've done some good work because we've created that bit of music. That's nice. We've employed Jenny May as a producer. Yeah,
this is all in.
We've created those jingles with your mate Lorenzo Ferrari. We've created those two things, haven't we?
Yeah.
Like there's the I love it, and then maybe actually I've thought of another way to use a jingle, Jen. Jen, I could use a jingle, that bit where I'm sort of saying about things that I don't like in the football games.
What do you want the jingle to be?
Yeah, just to play that jingle that we've already got. Right, I'll go. So, right, it'll be like this. I certainly didn't like it when I got embarrassed at Upton Park with my phone going off. Go, Jen.
Oh, fuck it. Do I not like that?
See?
There
Good. That's production.
There you go. He's done this before.
Yeah.
Not this, but
not this specific job, but things related to it. I believe I won a Sony Gold Radio Award one
amongst
time.
the other awards, mate. Don't talk yourself down.
Many awards. Dressing up.
Dressing up. Prowess in other areas.
Which, when it was popular to be like that.
Of course, we all remember that GQ award. That was lovely.
Yes, that went well.
Lovely event that was.
Delightful.
A litany
of incredible, controversial awards.
Mate, I had to once go and collect an award for you. I don't know if I ever told you.
What was it?
It was the
Why don't I know about this award?
Broadcast Award or something like that.
Oh, yes.
It was.
How did I do?
It was awful.
Oh.
So you had. I know this is not. I'm trying to. I think Trevor Brooking might have been there. That might be the link here. Some famous people. I was sat next to Sandy Toksvig for a start. Who was lovely.
Fair enough.
Got on well with her. But I had to go. It was in the early days where you won an award for One Leicester Square, which I worked on with you.
Produced it.
The Radio 2 show. And a couple of other things as well. And I know it was Stephen Fry, I think, was hosting. So, oh my God, the pressure.
It sounds intense. And you had to go up.
Mate, I had to go.
Why?
Well, your agent at the time said it would be good if someone went and got this award for Russell. And the Jack who I was working with said, I don't want to do it. And I said, oh, Wisely. And I agreed to do it. I think mainly because I was dating a new person.
So you weren't impressed then?
Yes, that was exactly what it is.
Vanity, hubris, always the downfall.
Terrible. Why do that? So I took her along to these awards. I thought, well, what's going to impress her more? We're going to an awards, we'll dress up together.
You collect the awards.
I collect the
whole thing
awards.
Sounds impressive so far.
Anyway, we played in a VT of you doing some humorous bit. And then I followed that up. I only know that I remember this because it's in my nightmares.
It's actually making me feel sick.
It was awful.
Hearing it.
Awful.
It sounds absolutely terrifying.
I had a moment where I said, after that, I said, oh, he's actually a very shy guy most of the time, or something along those lines. That got a laugh because, it was like...
At that point, I was a flamboyant exhibitionist.
There you go. So I said he's actually, in reality, a very shy person. That got a laugh.
Well done.
In that moment, should have left it.
Left it there. Leave it on the laugh. Don't be vain. Don't always want more. What happened?
I told the joke.
What was it?
Yeah, it was something... I can't even remember the joke because I think
Gareth, was it offensive?
I've eliminated it from my brain. It wasn't offensive, but it was not remotely funny. And it was...
Not a good feeling,
It was the
it?
moment of the room just, fell away. There was total silence. And all I remember is looking across to both my girlfriend and Sandy Toksvig for support.
That's not a sight you need in a time of trouble. Sandy and your former girlfriend sat sort of probably...
They were next to it. They bonded at that point.
They sort of with each other and thought, forget this guy.
Everything was going well. The whole dinner, because we'd had a whole dinner. It was like a proper awards.
I know what awards are like. It sounds awful.
It was awful. We'd managed to bond. I was thinking I'm mates with Toksvig. My girlfriend at the time was thinking I'm mates with Toksvig. We were all chatting together. And when I went up for this award, I noticed that they, sat together. And I looked over to the two of them, and neither of them could offer me any kind of support.
Not the girlfriend, not Toksvig.
Neither
you
of
thought
them.
Toksvig would have something in the locker from her years as a professional?
No.
Nothing.
Nothing at all. And I just picked up the award and retreated to the table. And then I remember a moment of going to the toilet after these awards, and a famous person. And
can you remember?
I can't remember.
Just
who
a
it
famous
is.
person. That's good, isn't it? They've sort of actually.
They're a famous
forgotten
person.
them. That's one in the eye to their fame.
Right? Yeah, it's either that or I've just tried to blank this whole experience out, which is much more like it.
Blot it from the mind.
Because why wouldn't
like
you?
Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind.
Yes.
Just eradicate this whole award ceremony
Yeah.
from your consciousness.
But this famous person was next to me in the toilets, which is not a place that you want to be with any man, let alone, you know, the urinals. You don't want to be next to anyone there. Well, I don't anyway. I don't like it.
So you've got there's bravado required.
Bravado.
Just chat through bravado. Maybe spit.
Spit a bit.
Not in COVID. You can't even do a bravado spit.
No. My mate always goes to...
All right, mate. Better out than him. Woohoo!
Why do men fart so much in urinals? It's a proper thing.
You're relaxing the front sphincter, the back sphincter thinks, let's just get in on this party.
But is it that, or is it exactly what you're saying? Is
Bravado.
it bravado?
Statement
I
fart.
think it is. I think it is.
It's a power fart.
Yeah, I've never been good at it, but I remember
power
being
farts?
power farts, urinals, any of it, award ceremonies, speeches, living.
It's only your ability as a producer and as a footballer that's kept you, and as a cub that's kept you going, isn't it?
Absolutely. But I remember this celebrity standing next to me at the urinals, and obviously I'm feeling a bit embarrassed about being there with anyone, let alone a celebrity. And I remember him turning to me, and I'm sat there holding my penis at this point.
Why is you sat there?
Stood there. So
Because you mustn't sit down, Gal, and try and project outwards. You give yourself a hernia.
it's the only way I can do
It'll
it.
come out like Tizer. You're sat there at the urinal, perched, trousers no doubt round your ankles, pushing with everything you've got, farting and spitting. Then along comes, I don't know, Neymar or Mark Wright, or not Sandy, but whom?
It wasn't Sandy. No, it was. I don't know who it was. It was a kind of mid-level, and they turned to me and they said, "What? Why are you managing to go to the toilet?" No, they didn't say that, but I probably wasn't. No, they just said, "Tough, isn't it? Tough out there sometimes."
Oh, that was a kind thing to
Really
say.
kind. And I. But
They're probably talking to your penis.
yeah.
Yeah, that's rough, mate.
Dreadful. It was rough. It really was, and it was early on in our relationship, and it did make me think. Right, make sure to never do anything like that again. You know.
Did you?
No, it didn't.
You did, actually.
Did I, mate?
Well, not exactly that, but other things you shouldn't have done.
Oh yeah. Well, obviously.
You should have made a stronger, more committed vow.
Yeah.
Now, mate, we all know suffering. There's no doubt about that. Life is suffering. Football is nice. It's one of the rare pieces of respite we get from suffering. That's why we're doing this show. That's why we're talking about all these football-related matters in, I would say, forensic detail. I've been looking at my phone while you've been telling that heart-rending anecdote.
I noticed you weren't vaguely
Just
interested.
reading my messages. I've got a lot of friends I could be doing podcasts with.
Yeah.
No, like I'm talking about, I'm looking at potential people that I could ring. And here are some potential candidates, and some of them scare me, and some of them have potential consequences. Jonathan Ross, we all know. Yeah, we all know. I mean, I love Jonathan very deeply, but we know where that has historically gone. Joe Rogan, not quite confident to cold call Joe and like go, I'm doing a podcast. I think that might annoy Joe Rogan.
Yeah.
Ryan Reynolds, interesting because he's come up organically. He'll be a bed because he's in America.
Oh mate.
Yeah, you should wake him up.
Absolutely terrified by that idea.
Or what if I just leave a voice memo because that doesn't even ring.
To Ryan.
Logan Paul, Liam Payne. Like Ryan Reynolds so far is my favourite. Dermot, Odell Beckham Jr., the American footballer. Imagine that dude.
Have you got another footballer like Carlton Cole or something like
Carlton Cole. No, I don't have that. I don't think I've taken enough footballers' numbers.
that? We haven't followed up yet about Mark Noble and what happened.
Well, he said it'd be all right, but I don't feel like I can keep troubling him.
No.
In the pilot episode, we rang Mark Noble and just to tell him about the time, like if you listen to it, an embarrassing anecdote that occurred between Gareth, myself, and Mark Noble. Now, I rang Mark Noble and left a message. He texted back, I goes, yeah, of course. But for me, that felt very much like, that's fine then, that's closure. You don't actually need to pursue it into the jaws of death. Lineker's in there and all, but... And Lineker as well, he's a pro. He doesn't want to be bothered in the middle of an ad hoc improvised football podcast.
I feel like it's when are we going to play this card, and it's whether we're...
What, the Ryan Reynolds card? I mean, what conventional podcasts do, of course, with guests is they book them in advance of the show. Now, I'm not the producer of this. I'm
Do you want me to book Ryan Reynolds?
Well,
right, it's too little too late.
Yeah, what did you think of this last week?
Why
Why
didn't you book Ryan last week?
Yes.
Shall I message Ryan Reynolds now? I'll message Ryan Reynolds.
message him? Yeah,
See
all
what
right.
he's-
I mean, we can then include this in the content of the description. Why don't our listeners, of which we know there are many,
Many.
why don't they nominate people for us to get in touch with?
Yeah, and they can give them.
And
Yeah,
their
nominate people to get in touch with.
And why? We need a reason why. Why should we do it?
Right, I'm ringing Ryan Reynolds.
You're actually ringing him.
Well, I'll voicemail him because he'll be abed, won't he?
Right,
He'll
this
be
is
in
just
America.
you. I don't think I should be involved in this.
Don't annoy Ryan Reynolds. You've annoyed enough people over the years.
Exactly.
All right, Ryan Reynolds. It's me, Russell Brand. I hope you're well, mate. I'm just doing a football podcast. In fact, this is part of the football podcast right now, but of course you're not actually in it. And for all anyone knows, I weren't actually messaging you. Only you know that I'm actually messaging you because you're not listening to this on the podcast, unless you are, which would be really weird if you hadn't heard the message, but you're just listening to the podcast. And hey, well, man, that's Russell Brand. And then you went to your phone and like, oh wow, there's that message. Anyway, look, we just want to talk to you about football, Wrexham, that football club you've bought. We want to talk to you about just football related stuff really, and like how football offers a kind of conduit to deep thought, spirituality, community, things like that, but also is sort of quite a lot of fun. And what it really that made you buy Wrexham. That's part of it, really. That's it really, Ryan. Anyway, lots of love. I hope you're well. Goodbye for now. Lots of love to you and your affiliated family members. You going to say anything, Gal?
No.
No, best that you don't. Or you, Jen?
No.
Thanks, Ryan. Right, that's gone now.
Are you putting it in the bin or is it gone?
It's not gone in the swirly bin. That's gone. I can keep that if I want.
Just let.
Ryan Reynolds has been messaged. He'll either be with us on the show next week or
Oh.
I'll be in court because of troubling Ryan.
I think we decided after last week's call to Mark Noble is no one can prove that went to. I mean, other than Ryan
himself.
but no one else can. You know, that might have been to no one. That might have just Russell
I
talking
could
to.
be mad. I could just be saving little numbers. But that's Ryan Reynolds, that one. I see there, that's Barack Obama. There's Diego Maradona in the afterlife. I got a special phone to God. But actually, yeah, so...
We do have a legitimate reason for
call
speaking to him.
Ryan
and calling
Reynolds.
him.
We want to buy a football club, right? So this
Yep.
is good. We can produce this now.
Yep.
Ryan, we would say, if he come on next week for episode 2 of Football is Nice with Russell Brand and
Yep.
Gareth Roy, though we don't write your name necessarily
I'm fine with that.
on the
I
cover.
don't think it's a bad
That's
idea.
not a draw. It's not a draw.
It's not a draw.
It's not the Cubs back in 1990 or
Oh,
whatever
back then it was a draw.
Oh, Gareth Roy's going to be there.
By then I was a consistent centre back.
He's got it's consistent centre back. Gareth Roy, good in the air, can play it out from the back, stays in possession, Ferdinand style.
Mate, I was most improved player at one point. I got a trophy for it. And
For improving.
Yeah, I always felt that was it belittled me at the same time as rewarding
It's
me.
the worst type of award.
Yeah.
Oh.
Why?
No, he's
what
right.
about the other one? Did you get what happened when you went on stage to claim it? Made a stupid joke.
He's
A
right.
terrible, terrible silence follows.
He's
Did
absolutely
you get
right.
another award again?
In the Cubs? No, just we won the league every year, so it was
you were
brilliant.
most improved. What other awards were there? Top scorer,
Yeah.
best player,
Yeah, I never won. I never came
best
close.
defender, best midfielder, best centre back.
Guy who turns up every week.
All of these
Yeah.
baubles available for the lads. Actually, Gareth, I've decided not to base our banter on that sort of cliched.
Bullying.
I've decided not to, so let's not do it. Let's be love. Let's show that men can be loving and supportive of each other and of women and of everyone.
Yeah, I
Shall
agree
we
with
show
that.
Shall we, Jen?
Yeah.
I think it's a.
Jenny, I'm from Ireland. No, we can't. Jenny knows that she's loved. Do you, Jen? You don't care anyway. You can't be bullied. You've already said that.
I
That's
can't
your
be
USP.
bullied.
You're impervious to it.
I have one or two things I don't like, but that's fine.
Oh, well, tell us those. and
No, because then you might use it against me.
I think we know what you don't like. You
What?
don't like being asked to do Irish dance, and you said that your father said you would never do it for the English,
Yeah.
like as if it was a
He did
political
say
thing.
that. He did say he'd never dance with them.
Very much.
Never dance for
Never
them.
dance for the English.
Was it as you were leaving one day? And remember, Jen, never dance for them.
Yeah, he doesn't like it if someone picks on my accent or doesn't say my full name.
Jenny May Fingo.
Jenny May.
Bingo. And also, don't wear a poppy if you're Irish because of the
Yeah.
historic relationship between Britain and Ireland and the oppression.
That's
And
not one of my triggers.
do you wear a poppy?
No.
Will you do that dancing?
No.
So she's somewhere between those 2 points. We know
I'll play
exactly.
football with you.
All right. Where will we play?
On a football pitch?
Oh, fair enough. They do seem very big when you're actually on
That's
them.
the best feeling, though.
Jen, you
They look
can
small
come.
from the sideline, then you get on, you've got so much space.
It's true. You can come do a celebrity match with me.
Yeah?
When I get
Do I have to
invited.
dress up as a man?
I like being a celebrity. Did you know I had football lessons off of a lad that was he was on the books at Reading for a while?
Did you? Is this true?
Yeah.
You've never told me this.
Well, it's because I've only just remembered it.
How long did this go on for?
A few weeks. It's hard to keep up. When you're an adult man in your 40s, having football lessons, it's stressful. Running around the cones in the park.
Wow.
Practicing keepy uppies.
Oh, this is an insight into your actual,
psyche.
feelings and psyche.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm really striving to be a better person in every area of my life, even areas where there's been no sign. What kind of trophy am I going to get?
Well, the thing I would
Gareth's
say to you,
Cubs.
Russ, is that actually, like, we've played football together and you're not as bad as you think you are.
What it is actually, Gareth, it's really nice you say that. It must be that I'm vain and competitive, and like I must have too high expectations.
Yeah, it's also one of your maybe deepest insecurities. Because the thing is, as we said last week and we touched on, was that it really plays into what it means to be a man, doesn't it?
Male identity.
It's coordination too.
Hold on a minute. No cares about being coordinated.
It's really unattractive to see someone uncoordinated with their body. So that might be it.
And you realise how I spent the decade between the year 2000.
I'm not
I think
saying
he's
you.
all right with that, Jen.
No, but
We're not going to the reasons
but no
why.
one likes feeling uncoordinated, even if
I've
they
been
are.
trying to make up for this in a variety of ways, primarily through the lens of addiction. It's led me into all sorts of complexity. But you're right. What do you mean, like sports, to enjoy?
Yeah, no
someone-
one likes not being able to embody their body properly.
When you were talking back, and I'm good at a loop back, when you were talking about
Go back.
fouling as a sort
Full
of
circles.
full circles with Russell Brand, which was nearly the title. Football is nice is a better title. I'll warrant you that. I was thinking of famous fouling players, like Ron Chopper Harris, Razor Ruddock,
Kane.
Vinnie Jones. Roy Keelow's a brilliant footballer, though, isn't he?
Oh, sorry. I see.
Like,
Yep.
and sometimes I'm not saying that Razor Ruddock isn't. He played at the top flight of the game, like top level, but there's a sort of. You don't often get very skillful players that also are brutish fouler. I mean, what about maybe Paul Gascoigne? Did he like a little tussle?
I always felt like with Gascoigne, it was more of an expression of his
Emotional
that's
volatility.
Right. That's right.
Rather
He didn't
than-
intend to, hack people down, in my opinion.
I think you're right. Yeah, I think you're right. It was not that. It weren't that. But it's interesting how those two things don't sit together.
Do you think skilled footballers are skilled foulers as well?
Skilled what?
Skilled footballers are also good at fouling.
I
Because
don't
there's
know.
a certain way of fouling that can be beneficial, isn't it?
Like, what do you mean, like surreptitious sly
I
fouls?
always taught how to do some fouls.
What did they teach you over there,
It
Jenny?
was my dad again.
Was it
Never
to foul
Riverdale.
English
It
people?
was the foul, but without the ref seeing it, and then the players would react and foul you back, and then
Tell
you'd-
me these.
And
Oh my God, what went on in the Mayfield household? What was he? What
so
else?
it's like if you go to pick, because you can pick up the ball in Gaelic football.
Right.
So you're
then
both
what?
going to pick up the ball.
Mhm.
If you grab their thumb back while you're going, the ref can't see that you're pulling their thumb, and it's very painful to get your thumb pulled back.
Wow.
I did that once, and then she pulled my ankle up in the air, and I got free kick.
The life of Jenny.
So there's
My daddy told me. Pull
so there
the
could be
thumb.
some people are good at fouling, maybe.
Yeah. Sounds like you are.
It sounds awful that your father schooled you like Morpheus and Neo in pulling people's thumb back in
Not all the
children's football.
It wasn't well. It was
Children's
late
Gaelic
teenager.
football.
This is why you weren't bullied.
Yeah.
I could have done with some of these techniques from my mum. Or Kayla. Any of them. Although Kayla was, he taught me about things in a different way, not in any way like
Just
that.
all legitimate, sensible ways, such as you would hope.
That's right.
What about the religious teacher? I mean, he
was-
can't tell you pull their thumbs back, Gareth.
That's
'cause
right.
You're meant to be exemplifying the principles of Christ. I mean, it was religious studies, but let's face it, it was basically Christian studies, wasn't it?
It
They
was.
might mention Islam, Judaism, Hinduism.
No, they didn't. actually.
They're not going to
No.
suggest it. As a
I
way
mean,
of
I did
life.
go to a Catholic school, so fair enough.
That was very much part of the brand.
It was, yeah.
Yeah.
No, he was actually quite aggressive as a teacher in his kind of advice about how to play football. He was able to.
What's his name?
Mr. Walmsley. And he was able to separate. I think he taught music as well. I mean, I'm from Hull, so you know.
Kind of goes on.
Well,
in
our
that
teachers
school.
had to be multifaceted.
When playing football, Jesus said. There's too many disciplines are intersecting.
I like Phil Collins because of him.
Go on.
In one of the music classes that he gave, as well. I mean, I'm looking back now.
So
I think he
doing
taught
music,
3 subjects.
football.
Yeah.
Like, does he put on different, like, moustache when
Yeah.
they pretended it was different people? Due to cutbacks and a ridiculous sitcom premise, you'll be teaching music, football, and RE. Oh no, don't get muddled up. Jesus was, of course, offside, and that's exactly why.
That would have been a good way of teaching kids, I think.
Yeah. Although I don't know how you posit the crucifixion in sporting terms, other than perhaps
Oh, I'm sure you can find a way, mate.
I've done it already.
I knew it.
Lionel Messi's departure from Barcelona requires a kind of crucifixion that he has to die on the cross of the press conference so that they can be born again at Paris Saint-Germain.
It had to be that way.
It has to be like that. You need the catharsis of that moment of his kind of death before seeing the sort of troubling image of him in a PSG shirt with the sort of Eiffel Tower slattishly used.
Is he
in
born
their
again
emblem.
in Paris or not?
I think what that time will tell. I mean, it might be one of those moves where it was the end of Messi as we knew him, or maybe he'll score sort of 15 goals in the Champions League and Paris will win, and and it will be regarded as that. And I suppose that's the narratives. I guess what I love about football. I do love to just sit and watch a football match, or even like sometimes like watching it when it isn't stars and stories.
Yes,
ordinary
just a
football
good
match.
game. Just a good game of football.
But I do less of that, to be absolutely honest, than I do consuming the culture of football, the soap opera, the sagas, the farragos, the glamour, the sort of the hypocrisy around the money, the beauty of it, the sort of and the deaths and joys and glories and stuff. That's what, for me, it's a sort of a vehicle for understanding reality. That's the thing that I like about it. So maybe that teacher could do it.
You've got how many circles you've circled back to? Then it's really is a skill, Jen. Maybe we should have called it full circles after all.
No.
No, it doesn't make any sense.
Okay, no, it doesn't.
It doesn't have any connection to football
Yeah.
other than the ball is spherical, which
Yeah.
feels like it's a circle in 3 dimensions.
Yeah.
Well, look, I mean, maybe we are coming up to 85 minutes.
We might as well go for the full 90.
We're doing the full 90
at this
again.
point. Let me just go through the rest of these tweets because I really want people to remember. Look, we want you to review this podcast, give it 5 stars on Apple or wherever you get your podcast. We want you to sign up to the Russell Brand mailing list. I've got other podcasts, of course. This is the only one that's not behind a paywall, but on Luminary, available on Apple. I do my clever, intense conversation every week. Then I go that Jenny also produces, would you believe? And I do Above the Noise, a guided meditation every single week. These other aspects of my personality. And the reason we did this, Gal, wasn't it? We started when we're doing the YouTube videos on my YouTube channel, which you can watch for videos. In fact, there's a video every single day, isn't there, mate? Like we stand in that room, the room that we're in right now, and like we talk about football. And sometimes we talk about football for a bit too long.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, because I get loads of grief when I come out from
the other
our
people,
colleagues,
your
of saying you've
co-workers.
wasted too much time with this.
Why did you waste all that time talking about football?
Yeah.
Well, that's one of the reviews says exactly that. Colin Cooper says, my wife with me watching our son's team on a Sunday morning, she shouted handball in the loudest voice ever when the rival goalkeeper picked up the ball. That is bad when someone shouts out something that indicates a lack of understanding of the rudiments of the game. I get that, Colin.
I was watching football with a couple of pals in Scotland over the Euros, actually, and it was really nice. Those two aren't really into football that much, but during the Euros, it's different, isn't it? It's a different thing.
People are sucked in.
You can bond over things, but one of my mates simply doesn't know anything about football. And at like the really intense moments of the game against Denmark, when I can't talk to anyone, I can't talk to anyone else,
sick.
and we'd get like free kicks and things that weren't in the area. And at one point he went, "That's a penalty?" And my other mate had to go, "It's not in the area." And he went, "What's the area?" And I went, "Just that box there." He goes, "Oh right." And I thought, "Listen, you can't be here."
Yeah, there are certain rudimentary things that, it doesn't take very long to explain those.
No, it's a really simple one.
Your friend should face some sort of touchline ban, I think. No, for God's sake, we needn't be perfect. Samuel says, a stunning woman who I'd been chasing, Samuel, asked me if I was going to Spurs versus West Brom. She'd never been to a game before. I thought drinks and a good trouncing of the baggies, then surely I'd be in there. Oh, Samuel. It was the most dull 0-0 ever, and she was bored, and we never went out again. Well, what that is, Samuel, is you just went into that situation with too many assumptions.
That's like me taking my ex-girlfriend along to those awards.
Yes, it is, isn't it?
Very similar. She took him to watch West Brom and had a similar result.
I completely agree with you. David M. Barnett, embarrassing moments, going to watch Ken Dodd do a gig at Chorley FC's club on Friday night.
Oh, the glamour.
It's Dodd. It's Chorley. We were high on life. The cocaine was everywhere. A couple of guys was shot. We were getting so drunk, I went out and threw up on the pitch, and then having to go and report on the next day's match for the local paper. The sports reporter was on holiday and seeing my pile of puke on the touchline. You never want to see puke again.
The next day, no.
That's it.
Yeah.
I kicked you out for a reason.
Yeah.
You don't want to see you sick the next day. Same as when you flush the toilet. You don't want to think about it. Thank you, plumbers.
Yeah.
Thank you, Romans, for providing irrigation and ongoing plumbing infrastructure.
Yeah.
No one wants to face the unconscious fact that you were sick, and there's your sick from yesterday.
I had a friend, I hope this is interesting and I hope you'll forgive me, but I have a friend who likes to have a drink. And he frequently goes out, and his wife, in maybe a slightly cliched way, tells him off for it when he gets home or the next morning when he sometimes sleeps on the sofa. And he uses, so therefore any time that she remotely gets a little bit tipsy or drunk, he uses that against her for weeks and months, constant reminding of her. And on her birthday, and I think it might have been her 30th or something, he told me he was so pleased about this, so pleased that she came home that night and was sick from drinking so much, but was sick out of a window, and it landed on like a ledge. And he said that sick was there for months, and every time she said something to him, he would just point out the window at the sick and say, there you go, you were sick, there it is.
The sick ledge.
It was the sick
used
ledge.
As a sort of a gaslighting tool by an alcoholic against his poor wife. No, I can see that sick could be a tool. Lynn Deanna Parsons randomly being asked outside the ground on match day by TV reporters if City could buy anyone, who would be the first. The first answer I gave. The answer I gave was Pele.
So yeah, she was asked by TV reporters if, I guess,
who should City buy?
Man City. Who should
Pele?
Pele. It's all that she thought of was Pele.
In a way, at this point, City could start regenerating footballing greats.
Yeah. Who's reincarnated Pele going to? Is it City or PSG? It can only be them.
There are other ethical questions about why did we regenerate Pele? Pele's still actually alive. We shouldn't have regenerated him. Never mind all that. He's going to go to PSG.
Yeah.
You can't stop us. Don't stand in the way of progress.
Wow, will that be the next thing?
Who else are we digging up and chopping bits off? We've got Johan Cruyff's foot here. We're going to sellotape it to a robot and play it out wide right. You can't stop us, or you're an enemy of the beautiful game.
Yeah, that's the next thing maybe, isn't it?
Reanimated corpses, cyborgs. Where does it go? Whither goes this beautiful sport of ours? This game that causes so much embarrassment and distress, so much glory, this vehicle for conversation. If you want to contribute, because we're wrapping up now, you could hear in my tone.
It's 90 minutes.
It's 90 minutes. We wrap up at 90. That's the way we do this podcast. If you, what football club should we buy?
Yep.
What guests should we do? Would you like to come on and provide sound effects? Let's just have one last listen to our jingles.
Yeah.
Because someone's gone to a lot of trouble.
Do you want to do a Mourinho?
Oh, is there Mourinho?
Yeah, I just did it.
Please don't call me arrogant, because what I'm saying is true. I think I'm a special one.
When have you been a special one? And that's how we would use that. That's really good. I love these little jingles.
We can do this with anyone.
We could do what we wanted, couldn't we?
Yeah.
Could be like Mussolini. We could use any bit of... I mean, this is the glory of the medium.
Mr. Wormsley?
Now, Gareth. Playing a clarinet is a lot like when Lazarus was raised from the grave. Now, what I want you to do is stay out wide, because it will stretch them in the middle. Now, Mozart, as you know... Mr. Wormsley.
Brilliant man.
Mr. Wormsley's breakdown is what I'd like to create next. All right, well, thank you. Remember, go and review this wherever you get your podcast. Give it 5 stars. Don't be mean. What's the point going through that trouble just to give it 1 star, drag down our average? Come on, we're trying our hardest. Just sign up to our mailing list on russellbrand.com and listen to the other podcasts and the other content we do, should you so feel like it. But most of all, contribute to the content. And if you can be bothered, why don't you come here and produce the show for us, so I can lay slouched in a chair, drool suspended from my lip, while you provide football content. No, I'm enjoying doing it. You go.
I love it.
Do you know who we could get on? Right, these are my wish list. Simon Jordan.
Oh, absolutely.
I'd
That'd
love
be
him.
brilliant.
Who else?
What about all our faves?
Who are
Well,
they?
people who maybe you
You want
regularly...
Dean Windass? I'll get Frank McAvenny's in my phone. I could ring him. Don't
Next
know what to
week.
think of that.
Teaser for next week.
McAvenny next
Wow.
week, and possibly Ryan Reynolds' publicist and lawyer. Fantastic.